Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Dave and today I'm going to be looking at this. That is a drawing of the vacuum hoses in the Jackaroo, diesel and petrol. And the reason I've got this is because I have a flat spot at the bottom of the revs, especially when the engine is cold, below 30 degrees, and as it's starting to get back towards winter, I want to get it resolved. It's been an ongoing problem for a while. One issue is there's I don't know if you can see that, but there is a check valve there, and mine fell apart. Now I never replaced it, so I'm hoping that that is the cause of the flat spot. So I've ordered some. I couldn't get any from any of the car parts stores. None of them had anything to do with check valves. And one of them said to me, I found some on AliExpress. Well, I'm sorry, but I wanted it tomorrow. So I've gone to Amazon Prime, got some check valves, and they're coming tomorrow. So I'll let you know if they work alright, and if they do, I'll put a link into the description. Right, I need to bring the car in. As an additional feature, I might show you how to fit LED lamps, especially indicators. The problem with LED globes indicators is that they flash really quickly. The old type system with the bimetal strip required a certain voltage to work, and the LED types don't. So they switch really quickly. It's something to do with the voltage it's fed back to the unit. So you have to put in what's called a heat sink. I might show you that. We'll see how we go. Just as a side note, don't forget, if you're a little short bit like me, you'll need one of those. I'll put a link in the description to it, just to be able to get in the engine bay, because as you can see, it's really difficult to fit in there, even at my height. So if you're any shorter than me, which isn't that tall, you're going to have a problem. This bit here, this is a gasoline engine. There are some differences at this end. This is the diesel. It says diesel engine, gasoline engine. That's the V6 from that line, and then this bit here would be on the diesel. So basically the diesel has a vacuum pump, whereas the petrol doesn't have one, by the look of it. Now this here is the shift on the fly mechanism. The VSV valves, that the grey and blue valve that operate that mechanism, and you can pretty much see how it works. What it does is it shifts that gear that splices those two together. It shifts it out of the way, so you have two-wheel drive. When it's four-wheel drive, it shifts it that way using vacuum, and it engages it on between the two shafts, and then allows the drive shaft at this side to operate. Okay, now we've got an air filter here. I've never even found that air filter, so that's going to be interesting. But anyway, that's what it is. So we need to have a look at this and see what we can find. Okay, so we're looking into the engine down towards where the RPCV is. This is the EGR unit. This is your airflow sensor, and here you won't have this pipe unless you've got the turbo gauge. That's the fitting for the turbo gauge. This pipe will be straight through for you. These are all vacuum pipes. There's another one down here, and it makes a joint down there. I know it's really difficult to see, but we'll have to get in and we have to check all these pipes. Now I know that most of the pipes up here I have exchanged, but there are a couple that haven't been changed, so we're going to look at those and see if there's a problem with them. I've also got to work out how or where the non-return valve fits into this. It's down there somewhere, can't remember exactly. So what we might do is remove the right hand wheel and get in through there. That'll might give us a bit more access. Through through the wonders of modern editing, I've saved you from all that noise of the compressor. So let's get the wheel off and get on. Now, I always lay the wheel down for safety. I don't know if you've actually realised, if that wheel was to roll down that hill, the next stop would be the bottom of the drive or the bottom of the street and the side of probably the most expensive car ever. And I don't want that. So, can you even see in there? In there is some of our vacuum pipes. That's the earth. That's the replace. Let me just grab the battery pack. That's the replacement earth lead, the blue one that goes to the earth on the side of the engine there. Now I don't know if you can see, but at the end of that screwdriver up there is a clip. That is the clip that the check valve was in. I'm going to replace the check valve. It's coming tomorrow. I've ordered one off Amazon, and like I say, if they work, I'll give you a link to the check valve. So what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing new hoses on everything apart from the check valve, but I know that my shift on the fly doesn't have new hoses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift you to the front. Safety stands in so I can go under the car. Obviously I don't want to be going under there just on a pneumatic jack. So I think I'm going to have to go up a bit higher. So I can get these up one level. Maybe up to that one. Yeah, I need to go up a bit higher. Okay. That's one. That's two. So I need to drop them back down onto the stands. Okay, the stands have the weight. There's a jack and two stands. They're both rock solid. That's good. I'm safe now. So where we're working is going to be on the shift on the fly. So I think first things first, we'll probably remove this bottom protection plate, and then we'll be able to see the hoses in there. I'll get a light as well, so bear with me. Okay, get both lights on, like so we can see what we're doing. So I reckon that's about a 14 mil. So these are the vacuum hoses, all these here. And I know that these have never been replaced, so at least I don't think they have. I might have replaced them when I took the axle off. But what we're looking for here is cracked hoses, and so that there is the breather. It has got a slight split in it, but I've got a zip tie around it, so it's looking good. Now what we actually need to do is clean some of these up so that we can see whether there's any splits. They're all looking quite good, I have to say, but there is a joint up there that may have an old pipe on it. I don't know, but I don't know what that is either, but it's coming out wherever it is. Mud, bits of wood and mud. Okay, that there is the old breather pipe. I hope it's the old breather pipe. There's your blue and your grey. If you remember from the diagram, it said blue and grey VSV. That's these. So what happens is when you press the button, that electrical contact operates in here and allows vacuum to go one way or another through the system into the shift on the fly, which looks like it could have a leak. We don't want this leaking. Now the problem is that a lot of it's wet around here, and it could have been from the last week when I changed the power steering fluid. So what I'll do is I'll wipe this down and I'll keep an eye on it. The shift on the fly pipes all look to be in reasonably good condition. I've replaced some of them obviously, but that one hasn't been replaced because it's blue, and I don't think any of the hoses I replaced were blue. Now that goes up to that joint there, and then that heads off up into that wrapped up piece of plastic. That could just be not wet around the sump plug, so it could just be residual oil splashing onto there from over here, or it could be that there is a leak. I don't see the real leak, so what I might do is I might just give it a clean, see if them bolts are tight, make sure they're all good. Alright, so that's the plan of action. There's a plan of action there. Oh God. So the plan of action is this. I'm gonna give it all a spray under here and all this wet bit, make sure it's not leaking. I'm going to tighten up these bolts. All tight. Everything's tight. So I decided to take out the old breather pipe, and I'm going to remove it from the system. Okay, so those pipes come up to the side of the air filter here. There's a couple of doubled over, bent over pipes. That's the air breathers there. Now the problem I've got is which one is which. There's also like a filter there. Now that could be the vacuum filter, because the drawing does say that there is a filter on the vacuum system. That could be it. I'm talking about this device here. Okay, so using nothing but currents and the wind, I managed to pull this pipe out. This is the one that had the breather for the shift on the fly unit. That would go into the top, then this would obviously fit in the hose like so, like that, and they came to the air filter height. Now when you've got a normal air filter and you don't have a snorkel, that's fine, because if water gets above your air filter you're sunk anyway. But when you have a snorkel with the air intake up there, the higher you can get it the better. So my breathers are sitting at the back of the engine bay right there. Now in effect they'd probably be better on the roof rack, but they're not. They're in the top of the engine bay. It's as high as I can get them. Should I go and remove the other one? This is the key, this is the question. So I'm just going to go and have a look at that. Well, I've answered that question quite simply, and here we go. Yes, I should remove the other pipe because that one's disconnected too. Alright, so that's good. Now what we've got to do is work out what this is. This pipe here. Would you believe, I think by pure chance, I found the vacuum filter. Right, so we're looking at this again. I'm hoping you can see it and it's not just a white blob. So the filter comes down to here, there's a joint, goes into the blue VSV. It also breaks off and goes into the grey VSV on the other side. So we need to find that, make sure that that's what's happening. So this pipe here is the pipe that's coming down with the filter on it. Okay, goes here. So if it comes down it must split off and go to the back of, and there it is, it does. So it goes to there and goes to there. So we have the T-piece right there and it's all fine. And are the pipes in good condition? The pipes are in excellent condition. So that's good. I might put a little clip on that. I don't know what that is. That must be some sort of diaphragm in there. Ah, so yes, so what happens is when the valve opens, that creates suction on here. It sucks in this diaphragm which pulls that lever, operates the fork on the gear lever up there. I don't have a problem with the shift on the fly system, so I'm assuming it's all working correctly. Anyway, they're the vacuum hoses for that, and there are no splits, there are no unusual bits on it. So that's a good sign. So I'll just go and get a clip for this, because that appears to be a bit loose where these are all pretty solid. That appears a bit loose, so I think I'd rather have something on that. If you're desperate you can use zip ties, but as we've got a tub full of clamps, I'm going to try using a clamp, so just bear with me a second. It's too big, it fits over the pipe, so it's too large. Let's find something a bit smaller. Alright, so there's the clamp in place, and this pipe still turns, it's nowhere near as loose, and that's a lot better. Now, is this one the same? No, that one's a lot better, that's tight, that's good. So that's a bit of an issue there for me, because those wires there are for these plugs, and they are next to the steering mechanism. So what do? Do I shift them above it or below it, or leave them above it and maybe zip tie them off to something? I think they probably should be below it. Well, it'll give us a good opportunity to have a look at the connections in there anyway. I think what we have to do is remove those pins. So I've removed the plugs. Each one of the plugs has one of these clips that holds it in place. I'll show you when I put it back together, but what you need at this point is some electrolube. Give the electrical connections a good clean. What's important is inside each of these is, I don't know if you can see it, let me try and bring a bit of light in. There's like an orangey pink seal, and that seal is all that's stopping these from getting waterlogged when you're going through puddles and stuff like that. So now if I is to put this back on. Is that going to catch? I reckon it is, isn't it? So we've got to come up with a better plan. I've got an idea. What we'll do is take them off, put them back through there, but we'll run them through this rubber hose up here, through all of the rubber hoses up here, like so. And then connect that on, and then bring through the grey one. And then what we'll do is we'll wrap those two together with some of this, and Bob will be your uncle, so to speak. Okay, I discovered that the best way to put them pins back on is to take the plug off, put the pin on, and then push it back on again. So we're all good now, we're in place, everything's looking good. I think we're all good. I can't see anything dripping out of here, but that doesn't mean anything. But I'm hoping that it was just the oil from last week that was had to drip down. That's what I was hoping anyway. Let's just hope that I'm right. So I don't really want to have to fix oil leaks if I can help it. Right, let's put the bash plate back on, and I think we're done. Okay, no, we're not done. I lied. What I need to do is put some of this back onto the pipes. Let's do it like this. Just want to hold this up off the steering column. So I zip tied it up there just to keep it off the steering bar. This is still a little bit close, but it's a lot better than it was. I'm not happy with that, but I can't really do a lot about it. I could use a zip tie to hold it up clear. I might do that as well, just bear with me. For the sake of putting a zip tie on, it's going to save a lot of grief in the long run. So as you can see, I've put two zip ties on up there, the white ones. All they're doing is one is holding this electrical cable clear of the steering bar, and the other one is holding the pipes clear of the steering bar. So when the steering turns, we don't get any wear through cables or pipes or anything along those lines. Right, so that's looking good. So let's get this bash plate back on. Okay. That's done. So we're all done and dusted down here. We don't seem to be leaking anymore, so that's a good thing. There's a bit of silicone there. If I can get the grease gun on, we'll leave it in position. I'm going to have a bit more of a rant. You know I like my rants. Split pins. They're not called cotter pins, they're called split pins. The Americans might call them cotter pins, but they're not cotter pins. Cotter pins are what you hold your crank onto your push bike with. So that is a split pin. Now, you can see that that's pushed through, and the one leg is higher than the other. All that bend is there for is to hold that pin in that hole. It's nothing else. There's no need to tighten knots. There's no need to bend it over double and hide it out of the way. If you've got to do that, you've used the wrong split pin. All you need to do is that, like that. These are probably from factory. And if the Japanese can do it right, then I'm sure you can. The Americans don't. There's no need. You'll go online and you'll find people recommending that you bend them over and you split them round and you tie them in knots and you put bloody reef knots in them and everything. There is no need for any of that. All that pin is doing is, all it needs is the leg splitting so it doesn't fall out the hole. That pin has been in there for 23 years and it has not come out. So why would you bend it round double? You wouldn't need to. You don't need to. There is no requirement to do that. Don't bend it round double. Just put it through and split the legs. One leg, 45 degrees. That way, when you come to take it out and you flatten that back down, it'll pull straight out. There's No lumps, no knuckles, no needing pliers, nothing. If I was to flatten that down, that would pull straight out of that hole. Now people, that's my rant more or less over, but there are different size holes and there are different size split pins. Make sure you use the right one for the right hole, the right length, about that much sticking out, one leg longer than the other one. You can trim a long split pin down to fit. But if it's this long and you've got to bend it over around here and wrap it around 3 times, it's too long. It just needs a one leg splitted like that to stop it coming out, back out of that hole. All that split pin is doing is stopping that nut from undoing. It's a locking device. Nothing else. Okay? Rant over. Let's get some grease in this bloody ball joint. While I've been under here, I found another problem, and it is this is full of mud, hardened up mud. I need to clean this out. If there's another reason for that hole being there, it's no good if it's all full of mud, is it? So we'll give it a clean out. Okay, I think we're done. We've got grease into both ball joints. There's grease spilling out, so we'll give that a quick clean. We don't want too much excessive grease onto getting onto the brakes or anything like that, so we'll just give it a quick clean. Now, you see that snorkel grill? I broke mine on a tree. Now, if you run with that snorkel grill, this is what you find. Like a lot of debris. Like that much debris. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this out. Right, I just found a lot of debris in my air filter. I did break the snorkel grill. I replaced it, but never cleaned out the air filter. I've just given this a good blast, but I'm going to do it again with. I've got more pressure. Happy with that. All I'm going to do is put the air filter back in. So I vacuumed out the air filter housing using a vacuum cleaner and got all the bricks of tree and what have you. Obviously from when I broke the grill, it had all gone in there and I never cleaned it out. So now it's got a clean air filter. That too could have been a problem with the acceleration. Of course, to move the car forward to get into that, I've got to put the wheel back on. So I'll go and do all of that and then I'll get back. Okay. So let's have a go at this rear light. Now, you guys know this already, but I'm going to tell you anyway. If you're new to Jackaroos and Isuzu Troopers, bits are starting to get a little bit harder to find. Most people have got most bits that we need, and there's always one of these being scrapped somewhere. However, it's always advantageous to keep everything you use. And I mean everything. So when I got this car, to get it through roadworthy, I had these two rear lights. I had a crack in the lens here and a crack in the housing here. And I didn't want it to fail the roadworthy, so we went to the scrappies and bought two rear lights. Now, the problem I have is that I've damaged this one. So I've now got two damaged lights for the housings. But this is intact. Okay, so we'll reuse that. So the first thing to do is to take the seal off. The seal is always worth keeping. Now we may not need to use those lights. Now, this here is the heatsink I was talking about when it stops your indicators from flashing madly, rapidly, or whatever you want to call it. Now, looking at that, there's some clips holding this outer onto the inner. So I can't recommend enough, when it comes to cloths, that you go to Bunnings and buy the painter's rags. About $22 or something like that, and I've been using them for months and I'm down to a quarter. I've used a quarter. So absolutely brilliant. worth every penny. Much better than going to these so-called car spare shops and then buying them from there, because they're just a rip-off price in them places. So this is stop and tail. That's an indicator one. Actually, there is some okay. Put this on. All right. Top and tail. Indicator. And we'll just stow that, just stow it into there, like so, while we get it into the, back into the housing. Right, there's one thing we forgot. I was giving these a clean and I forgot. Put it on the right way around, it'd help, wouldn't it? Like so. Alright, so let's have a look, see what we get. There you can see indicators flashing as normal. I relied on you guys there to check whether the brake lights were coming on and off for me. Not sure if they were or they weren't, but anyway. Right, I think that concludes today's efforts. Tomorrow we're doing cam belt replacement for somebody else on the premise that I can video it, so that's good. I think that's about it really. So hope you enjoyed what you've seen. I've got a lot of footage, so I'll have to edit it, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. To sort out the pipes and get the clip on, we did manage to remove the old breather pipes from the front and rear diff, and we did eventually find a filter for the air for the vacuum system. So I don't know what you're going to do with that filter. I don't know if you can clean it out or what you can do, but it's probably not had the best of a life. It probably needs something doing with it, but I don't know what that would be. Whether it's a clean out or whether it's a just a spray with some sort of cleaner, or I really don't know. On a quick note, I don't know if any of you are aware, but there is a meet and greet on the 1st of April at Sugarloaf Reservoir, organised by Clayton, I believe. It is on the Victoria Jackaroo Isuzu Facebook page. If you can't get onto there and find it, then send me a message in the comments and I'll try and help you out. But the timings and everything are on there, and I think Clayton would like to know if you're going. I think there may be a barbecue and a few bits and pieces like that, drinks for people who aren't driving and things. I'll be there. My son Rob is hopefully he'll be going. Chris from the 4JX1 compile decompile project, learning project, is going to be there. Harry's probably going. Clayton's going. All the big wigs from the Facebook groups are probably going to be there. So if you can make it, we'll be pleased to see you. Come and hit me up for a Jackaroo sticker if you do. And I hope to see you on the 1st at Sugarloaf Reservoir. See ya.